Alright guys, nobody wants to talk about firing clients, but I'll bet you right now you've got a customer that makes your stomach turn in knots every time you even think about doing any work for them. And they probably want a 15% discount on every job you do for them. They ask for 15% more free estimates. They probably approve 15% fewer estimates. And they pick apart 15% of your work. And you know, every minute that you spend catering to these bad clients, that's an opportunity cost to you that you could have spent that time catering to a better, higher paying client. And more importantly, if this is you, you don't just have a bad client. What you actually have is a broken business, because I promise you, you cannot have a good business with bad clients. It's just not possible. Now, I've been in your shoes because when I started out, my business was like an empty bucket that I needed to quickly fill with clients or I was going to have to go back to my old job. So for me at that time, every time I found a new client, it didn't really matter what the quality was. Any new client felt like progress getting that bucket filled. But there did come a point one day when my bucket was full and I started looking around and I started seeing there was a lot more valuable clients that could have been put in that bucket, but I didn't have any room to put them in there. And the reason I didn't have any room was because I already filled it with all the bad clients. I filled it with good clients and bad clients, but the bucket was full. And you know, some of those clients, they acted like I just kicked their dog if I told them that it was going to cost $150 to put up a new light fixture. And then I had other clients that were the complete opposite. They wanted to give me a $150 tip at the end and told me that I needed to be charging more because I was worth more. And that's when I really realized not all clients are created the same, and there is a client for every price. And these good clients, they valued me, not just me, but they valued my professionalism, my work ethic, my punctuality. They valued all these things about my business, and they were willing to pay me more money just to make sure that I was happy enough that when they wanted my services again, I was going to be excited to come back around and work for them. You know, I found out like a month into this business, right after I quit my job, that I had identical twins on the way. We were pregnant and they were going to be here in 9 months. So I'm looking at these clients I've got, and maybe they're not great clients, but they are paying the bills. But the problem is they're not paying the bills enough. So I had to figure out, what do I do? And I racked my brain and racked my brain. And the only solution I could come up with that didn't put my family in danger is probably the most stubborn redneck solution in the world, but it turns out it worked for me. And I'm going to tell you what I did is I went out and I made myself too busy. I had enough clients, my schedule was full, there wasn't room for new clients, so what I did was I went and got new clients anyways. I made myself so busy that there wasn't any extra time in the day, and I found myself in a position where I needed to get rid of a client. And I'll tell you what, if you're scared of getting rid of clients because you don't want to lose that income, the solution is exactly what I did. Get too many clients, put yourself into a position where you literally feel like you need to get rid of clients, because when you need to get rid of them, it's very easy to look at the first one that asks you for that discount or that gives you a hard time about a job that you know you did well. They're just looking for perfection. They're looking for more than they paid for, whatever it is. When that bad client shows themselves to be a bad client and you already don't have any extra time in the day and you need to get rid of a client, it's that easy to just go ahead and get rid of them. So that's what I did, guys. I got too much work. I put myself in some pain. I broke myself in half trying to keep up. I waited until it was obvious which client was at the bottom of that list, and I fired that client. And the moment I fired that client, my workload dropped back down to normal. The next thing I did, I went out and I got more clients. And I put myself back in that position of having too much work, and I waited for the next one to show themselves to be a bad client, and I fired that client. And I did this over and over and over again for about 2 years. And at the end of that 2 years, lo and behold, I had gone through a few dozen property managers and some other business-to-business clients. And where I found myself, and it's the position that I'm still in today, is now I have 2 really big property management companies here in Tucson that I work for. They have thousands of doors between the 2 of them. They have multiple, probably a dozen property managers individually between the 2 of them, and they all keep me busy. They keep my business full of a river of work, but I didn't just happen to land on them. I earned them, and I earned them by going through a couple years of having too much work and then firing whoever was at the bottom of that list. Bottom 10% client, fired. Get more clients, too much work, bottom 10% fired. And after enough time, you whittle that list all the way down to your best clients. So then the question becomes, well, how do you fire a client? Because if you're like me, I had no idea how to fire a client back then. It hadn't even occurred to me that's something I would ever want to do. So I tried a few different methods, and I'm just going to go down the list. I'm going to tell you what I tried, what did or didn't work for me, and I'm going to let you make your own decisions. But number one, I think is probably the best one, and that's just to be too expensive. And there's 2 different ways to be too expensive, and they both serve a different goal. Number one is to just simply raise your prices across the board for all of your clients. And what this is going to do is it's going to act like a filter. It's going to stop you from getting new clients who just feel you're too expensive. And it's going to filter out the clients of yours that are maybe a little bit cheap and you just don't know they're cheap yet until your prices bump up a little bit. And they will naturally take themselves out of the mix as well. And then number two is going to be to specifically raise your prices on the one client that you really are trying to get rid of. But I have to give you a fair warning. If somebody comes and asks you, let's say they want a bathroom remodel, and you look at this bathroom remodel and you go, we're just doing this and this and this, probably could do that for $4,500. And then you say to yourself, but I don't want to do a bathroom remodel for this client. So instead of $4,500, I'm going to tell them $8,500 so that they say no, so that they then can see I'm too expensive, so that they will then stop asking me to work for them. But I'll tell you what, every time I've ever raised my price a lot, significantly on one specific job to deter one specific client, I'll tell you what's going to happen every single time is they're going to say yes, and you're going to be stuck working with them anyways, and you're still not going to enjoy it any more for the $8,500 than you would have enjoyed it for the $4,500. So be careful with raising your prices just on one specific bid on one specific customer. In my experience, they're just going to come back and say yes anyways. But raising your prices across the board for everybody is really useful, and it's also just going to help you get used to actually having those higher prices, and it's going to get you used to early on just being able to explain to people how your pricing works. Now, number two is to just be slow, and here's what I mean by that. Is most people who are trying to get handyman work, they'd like to get it done pretty soon. So if you're consistently the guy who's going to be booked the furthest out, a lot of times you can get your clients to just start calling somebody else. And all you got to do is when they say, hey, we got a leaky sink in the back bathroom, can you come over and check it out? You say, man, I'd be happy to. I really would. I can refer you to some other guys, but the thing is, I'm really busy right now, and as much as I'd love to come do that right away, I'm just too booked out. So if you don't have anybody else, I can give you some referrals. If you really prefer it's just me, I love working for you, but you probably have to wait about 3 weeks. And every time they call you, you just make sure that you're booked out really far and you're not able to get to their problems soon. And over time, they're just going to start, again, gravitating to somebody else who may even be a little more affordable than you and a little faster than you. And with my business with property managers, as many of y'all know, I only work for property managers. It works the same way. You just let them know, hey, my company's really, really busy. Please feel free to send me any work that you want to send, but just know we're booked out 2 or 3 weeks, so whatever you send today will not get fixed for a few more weeks. And again, they'll just naturally filter themselves out of your schedule when you're never able to be the guy who actually gets the job done quickly. Now, number 3 is going to be for the clients that you really, really don't want to work for, and that's going to be absolutely unavailable at least any time in the near future. So instead of telling them it's going to be 3 weeks out, you just say, hey, look, I am so overwhelmed with work. I've got so much work, so many estimates, so many invoices, just so much going on across the board that I'm booked out so far that I don't want to get booked out any further. I literally can't take on any new jobs right now. However, if you'd like to get yourself put on a waiting list, I will have a waiting list or a standby list that I can put you on. And if and when I start getting these jobs wrapped up a little bit faster and get a little closer to where I can book you, if you're on my waiting list, I'll give you a call when that time comes. But I can't guarantee that that time is going to come or when it's going to come. So again, you still haven't actually fired them. And by fired them, I mean you haven't made them feel like you fired them. So you haven't given them a reason to go on, for example, Google reviews and give you some bad fake reviews. You haven't done that, but you've made it so that they just really kind of don't want to call you for work. And number 4 is to just tell them the truth. Telling the truth doesn't have to mean that you just say everything that's in your mind, but if you really don't want to work for them, if you don't mind the drama, if you're not worried about them going and leaving bad reviews for you elsewhere, or telling everybody that they know and everyone that they work with that you're just a horrible handyman company, if you're not worried about any of that drama and you can handle it, you could just tell them the truth. Just say, hey, you know what? You ask for a discount every time I do a job for you. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I have to keep telling you no, or I have to keep giving you a discount. And the truth is, I just don't like that. And I have too much work to be working for people who aren't pleasant to work with, so I just don't want to work with you anymore. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It is going to cause a little extra drama. In my experience, a lot of times clients are going to go spread bad words about you online. They'll go try to review you negatively. everywhere they can. Of course, you can fight those reviews. Just for me, I prefer not to be in that situation because I have a business to run and I don't have time to be going around trying to maintain an online reputation with clients that don't really mean a lot to me and I don't really want to be working with anyways. But there is a way to prevent this using the exact same honesty. And guys, this is where I'm finally at now with my business. What I do is I try to not put myself in a position where I have a client that I want to fire later. My clients fire themselves, and here's how they do it. You know, we were talking about some of the things that you don't like, for example, when they come and ask for a discount on every job. So what you do is the first time they ever ask for a discount, you just politely and professionally tell them no. And you don't give them a lot of excuses. You just say, this is how I run my business. This is my pricing. I do not offer any discounts. If they come and nitpick your work later and they say, hey, can you come back and touch this up and touch that up? Now, first of all, figure out if you need to, right? If you didn't do good work, you do need to go back and touch it up. But if you gave them quality work for the money that they paid you and everything is above board, and this is just a picky client who's trying to get you to come back and do more free work so they can feel like they got a better deal, just tell them no. Just politely tell them no. Just say, nope, I've got my pictures and my videos of that job. I can review the work that I did. I think I did solid work for the money that I charged you. I apologize if you don't agree, but I won't be coming back and doing more free work for you. Same thing with clients trying to nickel and dime you on the job. If you're there and they're asking you to do extra work for free just because you're already there, guys, just politely tell them no. Tell them no. Just say, I'd love to do that work for you. It is going to be an additional $15 to add that on, but I'd be happy to add it on. And that's a way that you can say no without saying no. It's a way that you can set your boundaries and not get taken advantage of in the first place. And now just multiply this out across all the things you don't like about clients, whatever it is they're doing that's making you want to fire them. If you set that standard from day one, and I do literally mean from day one, if somebody calls you and says, hey, I've got this job for you, but you have to be here Tuesday to do it, that's the only day, I will not take any other day, and you don't want clients setting your schedule for you, then you just say, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not available Tuesday, but good luck finding another handyman for that. So set your policies early on, set your standards early on, enforce them from day one, and I think you're going to find out that a lot of your clients that could have become bad clients because you set the precedent of allowing them to become bad clients, they're not going to become bad clients that you have to fire in the first place because you just set that standard right away. And if they didn't like it, they just never called you back and they never really became clients to begin with. Now, I want to be really clear about something. I preach on this a lot, and I'm surprised I don't hear everybody else say it, but you cannot have a good business with bad clients. You just can't. So I really want to drive this point home, guys. I feel like for me and my business, if I had never done the things that I'm telling you here, if I hadn't fired those bad clients, I would have a horrible business today. I'd be charging far less than $100 an hour. I'd be jumping through hoops for everybody. And I'm going to tell you the truth, even to this day, my best clients that I'm still with, I still once or twice a year have to set some boundaries with them. I have to tell them no. And I have to say, hey, if this is the way it is, it's been really great working for you for the last 4 years, but I'm afraid we'll probably have to part ways because I can't change the way I run my business just for one client. And if you're able to say that, like I'm able to say that, it's scary every time. It turns my stomach in knots every time. I'm always worried I'm going to lose them. But every time I tell a client no, they come back and just double down on working with me rather than doubling down on trying to get me to change the way I do business. So it's vital that you learn how to fire your clients. If you need any help with any of this, by the way, whether it's firing clients or anything at all with starting and running your handyman business, email me at bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com. I answer every single email. It's not always same day. I'm not always super fast, but I really do answer every single email that you guys send me. And I want to point something else out. This is just a temporary thing right now, but we're in the month of June. At the end of June, I'm going to be in Colorado. I'm going to have a cabin where I'm going to host 16 of y'all to come out here and work on your businesses with me. The cabin's already paid for. You don't need to pay for anything. There's no paywalls on this channel. This is a free lodging, free food. I'm going to cook all your meals. I'm going to clean up after we're done eating the meals. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to host you, and we're all going to network, and we're going to problem solve our businesses for quite a few days here at the end of June. I think it's the 25th through the 28th. But go to bulletproofhandyman.com to get signed up for that, and know that that is sponsored by 𝗚𝗚, Q-U-O, formerly OpenPhone. They're the ones who paid for this so that you don't have to pay for it. So do me a favor, and if you want companies like 𝗚𝗚, like I said, formerly OpenPhone. By the way, they're like a A business phone that lives in an app on your phone. So instead of you having two physical phones, one for your business, one for personal, instead of that, you have one phone, it's your personal phone, but you have your business phone installed as an app on your personal phone. That's what 𝗘𝗦 does. But they were gracious enough to pay for this event so that you could work on your business with me. And the way you can thank them and get them to keep coming back and sponsoring these events so I can do them all over the country and help as many of y'all as possible, as well as all the other brands that sponsor these. The way you can do that is to go to the description of this video or any of my videos and click on that link for 𝗘𝗦 and check out their product. And if it's not the right product for you, please don't buy it. I don't ever want y'all buying anything that you don't think is the right thing for you just because I recommended it. But do know that if you have any problems with that product, I can reach out to them personally and get your problem solved if they're having trouble solving your problems. And I have already verified this once. We had one guy with a very minor problem, and I got his problem solved because I'm an ambassador for them. So go check them out. It's 𝗘𝗦, Q-U-O, formerly OpenPhone, for a business phone. Tell them thank you for sponsoring this channel and this community. And other than that, like I said, email me anytime you guys want. But I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it. And I'll see y'all on the next one.